Hello everybody, I'm Chris Provost. You're watching Provost Park Pass, and today we're going to be going to the Colosseum. We're going to catch our taxi, take us to the Colosseum. We're going to do a whole tour of the Colosseum. I'm going to share with you as much of it as I can. I'm very excited. This is where the Gladiators fought, so it could be a little, some of the details might be a little brutal. Just be aware of that. But let's do this. Let's go down to the Colosseum here in Rome, Italy. Ah! All right, so here we are in the daytime. We've got a tour. We have tickets. You have to have tickets to go on the tour. It's very crowded. So we're here very early in the morning. Our tickets are for early in the morning. They have you go in at certain times. So we learned a little trivia about the Colosseum last night on our Vespa tour, which is so fun, guys. That was so much fun. But we're gonna go through and learn some more trivia, and I'll share everything I can with you. It's ancient Colosseum. So last night in the tour, we learned about that at one point it became a homeless camp. We learned about how the Vatican stole all the metal from it to make cannons, and we learned about how they flooded it, put ships in there. And hopefully I learn all those details and tell you as we go throughout the tour. If we don't learn those details on tour, at the end of the video, I'll tell you all about what happened here at the Colosseum. So those details we learned last night. This is what the Colosseum looked like before the earthquake. So there's an earthquake, and the earthquake happened around 300 something AD, and it knocked down most of the Colosseum. So the side that we're looking at right here is the only part that still shows the height of it. So the rest of the Colosseum got knocked down, but this part here is how it was. The Colosseum was built in, I think, 80 AD. It was the largest structure that the Romans built. All right, you see those little pock marks on the stones. There used to be metal brackets that would kind of hold those stones together. The Vatican stole them, the metal brackets, and melted them down to turn them into cannons. Now this was a Roman Colosseum, it's a pagan Colosseum, so the Vatican didn't feel any remorse for taking the metal. But they loved the Colosseum, but they wanted the metal to make cannons for the Vatican City. That's why you have all those pock marks where they ripped out the metal. And if you look very carefully, you can see the Roman numerals. This was gate number 50. L equals 50. And then right over there, L22 is Roman numeral, it's gate 52. So that's how they knew where to enter in to go into the Colosseum. It was free. Anybody could attend the games. It was completely free. They didn't charge. Anybody was allowed to attend. Now we're entering into the Colosseum. So everywhere you see that little pock marks, that's where they have removed the metal. The columns on the outside are kind of white because they're made out of travertine. It's a stone that was very common around this area here. Now we're entering inside. Anytime you see stone like that in the ground, that's the original stone that they walked on. This is added, you know, but that was stones. That was the original stone. That's a different type of marble they used. The construction took 7 years, and they had 5,000 workers working on it. This was the same gate that the gladiators used to enter into the Colosseum. So we're now walking through exactly as the gladiators would walk through. Same entrance. And the crowd would be yelling and screaming and cheering and going crazy. When the Colosseum first opened up, they had a celebration for 100 days, and the emperor at that time loved naval warships, so they would flood it and they had naval warships for 100 days. They'd build them and come in here and have battles, navy battles here. But they only did it really at that time because it was very expensive. They didn't really do that later on. Where what you saw later on was mostly like in the movie Gladiator, where they'd fight and they have them fight against animals, they have them fight against other gladiators, and all that here in the stadium. Here's the interior. You see the Colosseum walls here. Now it's much taller, but they had an earthquake and knocked the walls down this end, right here. They had the Colosseum, the gladiators would fight. They fought until around 400 AD. When Constantine took over, he felt that it was too brutal, and so he had them stop doing the gladiator battles. Then at the time, after Constantine took over, they just used it for shelter, and people would come here, and just said lots of people would come live here for several decades. It was like a homeless camp. Around 420 AD, it's like a homeless camp for a lot of people. They just lived here for free. This was the entrance. Now, a lot of times they'd fill this in with dirt, and they'd fight on top of it, and then underneath it was where they would live. But they had the planks that go across where they'd fight.
There's my shade over you.
For the senators.
You can
And the
sit
only
anywhere.
ones who survived are those, and they are made of marble. And you can see that's where the senators.
That's what the basement looked like. It was very complex.
Because of the building stage, you know? Okay, in the basement, you know, with the slave. First of all, this vein.
It's when they had the naval battles.
Of course, it couldn't leave any remains in archaeology, no? So we can't find the evidence in archaeology.
Okay, I just learned a lot. That right there where that cross was, that was the emperor's box. It's where the emperor would sit, right there. Here, you'll notice these white stones right there. That's where the senators, the lowest level was the senators. Then above that, you had knights. Then above that, you had kind of middle class. And then up there, you had the poorest people. The Colosseum could hold up to 70,000 people. And you couldn't skip seats. So if you were sitting there, you couldn't come down to the level of a senator. They had different entrances and exits to enter into the Colosseum. The fights would start about 8 in the morning and go until the sun sets. They had these big, huge nets, not like awnings that would come across to provide shade for everybody. Here is it was a 4-story area covered with planks. They have like elevators literally wooden elevators to let the animals come up. They actually would have animals. They'd fight animals. The first time they did it though, the basement wasn't finished and they just flooded it and put ships in there. Then after that battle was done, then they drained it, and that's when they added all the basements, 4 levels of basements for the animals to come in. They would bring the animals a few hours before the event and have them in cages and bring them in, and then they would release them out. They literally would fight them, just like the movie Gladiator when they have the animal come out. They had trapdoors, and animals and tigers and lions and bears, oh my, would come out and they had to fight them. That's what you would see if you were a spectator. Alright, so this is the north door. This is where the gladiators would enter into the arena. Then there, that is the south door. And only the gladiator that won would be able to walk out the south door. The loser, if he could walk, would then leave and exit out the north door again. They also had the emperor there, and we all know like the thumbs up. You guys know the stories about the thumbs up or thumbs down. Actually, they know that the emperor uses thumb to signify if the gladiator should kill his opponent. We always assume thumbs up meant he lived and thumbs down meant he died. They don't know we don't know if up meant live or down means die. They actually think that the emperor would do this. That would mean die with his thumb. Because they have records of him talking about the thumb gesture, but they don't know what the thumb gesture was. But the crowd would yell, be chanting what is called ugula, I think ugula, and that means throat. So they think that the emperor would go like that to let him know to kill. But Hollywood is the one that came up with that thumbs up, thumbs down thing. That's not even true. Now, generally, a lot of times we think because of Hollywood that they'd always would kill the gladiators, but they didn't. A lot of times they wanted the gladiators because it was too expensive, because the gladiators, there's 2 types of gladiators, those who volunteered and those who were slaves. Slaves were young and they train them for about a year and go to gladiator school. And then if they come to the very first fight, after a year training, they would die. It's an expensive investment. So what they would do is a lot of times they would allow them to live and come back. Now, gladiator, if they were a slave, after 20 fights, they received their freedom. That would take about 4 years to do 20 fights. Then those who volunteered, there were people who volunteered to be gladiators. They just volunteered because they wanted the money, the riches, and the fame, and they would fight for it. But most gladiators only survived for about 2.5 years. So
You probably won't believe it, but the only moment when
these
I'm
are the
very
different
relaxed
types
is when
of
I'm
gladiators.
because as soon as the tourists
These are like the entrances they come in, depending on the level going into the Colosseum. You have the knights and the senators and the common folk had different entrances. All right, so now I'm gonna go up to the upper level to show you kind of a bird's eye view looking down into the Colosseum. All right, so we're on the upper level. You notice how I can't see the stage because it's sort of in a tunnel, and we would have to walk up those stairs in order to see. Remember how they kind of segregated the people, how they could sit. The knights would sit in one area, the senators, and then the middle class. So they had it so like if you weren't in your right area, you couldn't see. So here's the upper view of the Colosseum. You can see those were the senators would sit. We're in the level of like knights. And it goes all the way up. And then of course they had the planks would go across, the wooden planks, and they put sand on top of the planks for them to have their battles. But underneath is where they'd have like the entrances and even like elevators and small trap doors for animals to come in and out. Right over there, that's where they'd have the animals. They'd house them about a couple hours before they'd come out to battle. Now there are different types of gladiators. Some of them had heavy armor, some had light armor. And people were like, well, the people who had heavy armor had an advantage. Not necessarily. The heavy armor was incredibly heavy, and they were fighting directly in the sunlight. Like just the helmets weighed about 8 pounds. They would fight in the sunlight, and it was difficult for them. But they had more protection, whereas the light armor, people they didn't have a helmet, they just had a trident and a net. There were different types of fighting styles. It's recorded that there were 7 types of gladiators, but we only know the 5 that I showed the picture of. We don't know what the other 2. We know that they said that there were 7 different types, like schools, whatever. Now, if a gladiator survived and got their freedom, at the end, they could become a manager of a gladiator school and go work at a school and train young gladiators to come and fight up through the Colosseum. This is what the Colosseum would look like when it's completed. It was 4 stories. These are the columns that they had in each story. Lower, middle, top. There it is. It's just really, this architecture feat was amazing. Could you imagine 70,000 people in here cheering and chanting? So interesting how they had the walls blocked off so you couldn't see. So you'd have to go up to your seats, your assigned seats. And the entrances were set up so you knew where to go. Depending on where you were in life, you had a different entrance. These are the different types of things they'd have inside. The columns, statues were here inside the Colosseum. This showed the roof, and those would pull back to allow them to become shade. Now the center though always had, they never had closed all the way center because that was the only sun that would come in. And the sun would always shine directly down onto the stadium. So like the heavy gladiators had to fight in that hot heat wearing all that armor. Now this would have been at the very top of the Colosseum right here. And right there, very top. But when the earthquake happened, they fell down. And this type of stone actually came from Turkey. And this was like the pulley system they used to open those doors in the, like the trap doors. There was a giant bronze statue outside the Colosseum. Right there. And they know that statue existed because on the coins they found, you can see the statue outside the coins. But the statue is made of bronze. And when the Vatican came, they took everything in bronze so they could make cannons. The statue's gone. And they lost the statue. But they know it existed because even on the coins, there's minted on the coins, those statues there. This is some like pots and stuff that have been found in the Colosseum because during the medieval times, people used it as houses and shops. A lot of people live here during the medieval times. They just turned it into like a shop. And here's a model of what the Colosseum would have looked like. You can see that they had statues in each of those little archways. during World War II. These are American tanks. They drove right by the Colosseum after liberation. Wow. Have we changed a lot? I mean, this is 2,000 years old. And now we got sporting events, and they've got like the rich get these box seats and cool seats, and just like they have here at the Colosseum. Are we just doing the same thing we've always done? Are we just human? Look at the archways. Now the construction was very fast in the Colosseum because there was a man-made lake here. They had an aqueduct come in and made a lake. So they just stopped the water in, they drained the lake, and they used that for the foundation of the Colosseum. And so that's why construction was so fast, because they already had a foundation for it. I mean, can you believe this? 70,000 people here. And the celebrations would last for 100 days, and everybody come in and they would just be like cheering and going like crazy for 100 days, massive celebrations. Something that wasn't really accurate at the Colosseum is up there is that they would never usually have more than 4 gladiators fighting at a time. 4 was the most. And they don't have any records of them ever fighting as a team. Like I know we have movies where they fought as teams, but as far as the records show, they would only fight individually, usually 1 at a time or 2 at a time, and sometimes up to 4. Here's some old stairs. You see them going up right there. So yeah, so they didn't have these team battles. They would have, when the gladiators would come out, the gladiators would fight one-on-one versus each other, or 4 of them would fight at the same time, and then you just go down to 1 victor. The harder a gladiator fought, though, if he was aggressive and he didn't run away and he was brave, and then he still fell at the end, had a more likelihood of chance of survival. The emperor would usually grant him leniency. Well, these steps are steep for survival. Whereas if the gladiator was kind of afraid or run away and didn't put on a very good show for the crowd, and he fell down the end, then it's more likely that the emperor would say, kill him. So you'd want to fight hard, so that way you can live to fight another day. They liked the gladiators to survive so they could come back. But every once in a while, they would have criminals fight. And criminals had to fight to the death. There was no chance for mercy. They fought to the death. So, more marble stones walking out. Now, the Rome was pagan, and the gladiators were considered pagan. So when Constantine came in and was trying to unite everybody, he felt that was too brutal. He stopped the gladiators and tried to become more Christian with everybody here. That's what I've been told. So that way they stopped having the fights here. They didn't really know what to use the Colosseum for, so they used it for like a homeless camp for a while, the stores and merchants, and yeah. But what a feat. Can you believe this? How cool is this place? All right. So I had to ask our tour guide, I'm like, well, what of the different 7 types of gladiators, what was the most victorious? And she says, the Trax, the TRAX, is believed to be, they were Romanian soldiers that were conquered and came here, and they fought with their fighting styles, with those helmets and the clubs. They were very successful, but all of them would have their advantages and disadvantages to fighting. And so now I just want to learn about those different types of gladiators, the 7 schools. The one that I saw, if you remember, look at that poster again, was the one that really intrigued me was the one that's called Scissors, I guess, with the blades on the hand. I want to learn about that one. But yeah, they had different fighting styles. It's getting to be very warm. But you can see this Colosseum here. Wow. Just, can you believe this was so old? So cool. Okay, so now we're exiting out. And hey, I just want to take a quick second to say thank you guys for watching these videos. I know they're not the usual Disney stuff that we do, but I find the history, I just like history in general. Particularly, I love Disney. Disney history is my favorite, right? I love that. But I just like coming to these places and seeing all these cool things and sharing them with you. So thank you for being here. I appreciate that. If you are enjoying the video, can you hit the like button though to let me know that you enjoy it? It makes me feel good. And if you are really feeling generous, hit the subscribe button. That's like a big, huge hug saying thanks for doing this. I mean, I just like to do these. I know it's not normally what we do, but I really enjoy sharing this stuff with you. It's very fun. Okay, we're outside the Colosseum. Oh, look at it. We're already walking down this way. We're outside now, and wow. There's Amanda and their sun umbrella. Just walking along. We're just enjoying our time here together. Do you guys know where skeleton gladiators would fight? The Colosseum. Do you guys know what the first century Christian said when a wife, let me do that again. Do you guys know what the first century Christian said when the lion ate his wife? I'm Gladiator.
Oh my
Now we're looking at this amazing arch. So if you look right here, you can see there's a menorah. That is a Jewish candle holder. And it was made of solid gold. And when Rome overtook Jerusalem, they brought it back here and had it on display. This is the only record of showing this menorah here. Now, it was lost during the Middle Ages. They don't know what happened to it, but you can see that they actually had that brought here. This is the arch of Emperor Titus, but in Roman and Italian it's Tito. And he's coming in conquering Jerusalem. And behind him you'll see there's like an angel there, and that is Nike, which means victory. Letting them know that I came, I conquered, and I'm moving through. And this arch was important because it'll let anybody who came here know that Emperor Titus or Tito was victorious when he went to Jerusalem and came back. That was the whole point of this. Kind of think of it as like propaganda to let them know, like, I came, I did it. And there's the amazing archway. Okay, so the story I'm about to tell you has truth and lies in it. The first city was founded by King Romulus, 750 BC, here in Rome, on top of this hill that I'm walking right now. Now, what they do know is that actually a settlement happened here in 750 BC, so that is true. And people here in Rome like to say it was King Romulus. Romulus is where they derived the name Rome from, and how they got the name Rome. But there was never really any King Romulus. There was probably a tribal leader who came and settled this area. This is the second largest hill, and it's got a very good microclimate. It's close to the ocean, so they get nice breezes here.
Okay.
So the leader of that tribe, they don't know his name, but over legends, over time, people have just come up with the idea of calling him King Romulus, even though that wasn't his real name. But he did found a city here on top of this hill in 750 BC. Truth. Romulus, lie. Leader, true. Named after Romulus is how they come to Rome. True. What was the leader's name? We don't know. You could see it's kind of the little foundings at the beginning of this. They built this city up over time. They built this city. They built this city. But anyways, this is the very beginning of Rome. Now, if you look straight ahead, you can see St. Peter's Basilica, his church right there, the tower. It's the tallest building in all of Rome. Now, when the empire finally fell, the Catholic Church ended up kind of running Rome. And you'll notice that we are here on the tallest building, on the tallest hill. But there's no buildings, there's no tall buildings on this hill. The reason is the Catholic Church passed a law saying nothing could be taller than St. Peter's. Where is it? Where is it? I can't see it. Right there. Nothing could be taller than St. Peter's Church. So that made this whole area here invalid. So nobody could build anything on top of this hill because it would be taller than the church. So the Catholic Church kind of quashed after Rome fell. They said nothing's going to be built up there. And these are the old ruins that were here, but nothing could be here again. There's a little house, but nothing could get, it's about as tall as it goes. Now this here is up here on top of this hill, and this is the original marble floor. Of course, the columns have fallen and everything, so it looks wavy, but it would have been flat when they walked. All right, so the floor there, you see underneath, you see there's pillars underneath it. Well, the floor would have gone like this, and they had, you see like that little area there, those were like ovens, and they put wood underneath the floor to heat the floor so the floors were warm and they could walk on top of it, or they'd make it like fill it up with water and let there'd be like a warm bath all the time for people to bathe. But yeah, holy cow, heated floors. What the heck, Rome? I want heated floors. So this area here was the very first settlement of Rome, and then they just kept building more and more and more upon it until the Roman Empire fell. And then when the Catholic Church kind of started running Rome, couldn't build anything more in here. Couldn't build anything more here. This one makes you a little sad. This is called the so-called Temple of Romulus, and it was built in 307 AD, and it was built to honor. It was built by Emperor Maxitus, I guess is his name, Maxinitus, and it was to honor his son who had died young. These doors are bronze doors, and they're very thick, and they still work. They're over 1,700 years old. Now the Catholic Church came, Pope Felix V turned this monument into a vestibule for the church in 1879, but it was originally to honor the son of a fallen Roman emperor. Hey, real quickly, so we're at the end of our tour. We decided to order some food. I got some tortellini, Miles got spaghetti and meatballs, and Amanda got cheese pizza. Oh, right here, the meatballs. Hungry? Say hi. That's fast. Tortellini. I just wanted to say, you know how amazing that Colosseum was? You are more amazing than that Colosseum. I don't know if you feel that way or if you've been told that you are. You make the world better, and I want you to know I appreciate it. I do. And I know that some of you are going through a hard time right now, and I am talking to you. I want you to know that you are awesome and you make the world better. You really do. I am talking to you. All right, guys. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Next video is coming up. We're going to be all Disney. Disney. Oh, should we take a bite of it? Do we dare? And here's Amanda's cheese quattro fromage 4-cheese pizza with, now she put in, oh my gosh, Parmesan. Alright guys, so good.